Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's webinar. I am really excited for tonight's webinar. We have a fantastic guest, and he's going to be talking about a topic that it just seems like it gets more and more popular every year. We get more and more questions about what happens when a potential patient goes online. What are they searching for? What are they looking for? What are the strategies I can use to make sure they find my practice when they go online? And it's a science that is constantly evolving. I think, everybody says that you can never know Google's algorithms or the secrets of Google, and I'm pretty sure that's true. But you certainly can learn the different techniques and strategies and methodologies that the pros use to make sure that they are found when you go on Google to search for a new dentist. I mean, let's face it, these days, I know I personally go on Google for everything. I was telling somebody a few days ago, I have an internist, a physician who I just think is the greatest guy in the world. And I was having some shoulder pain and he had to refer me to an orthopedic surgeon. In the old days, I would have said, okay, if Dr. Berg says go see this guy, that's what I'm going to go see. But now if he refers me to someone, what's the first thing I do? Tap, 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 Google, Google, Google. I just want to check this guy out. And it's even more so if you don't know where you're going, if you want to find whatever it is, a new dentist, a new physician, a new plumber, if your sink's stopped up and you don't have a plumber, well, of course, the first thing you're going to do is go on Google and search for plumber, Akron, Ohio. Unless you live in Kansas City, Missouri, then you're probably not going to do that exact search, but you know exactly what I'm getting at. Google is the way that things are found these days, including dentists. And that's why it's been such a popular topic for us. And that's why we decided to do a webinar and invite a very special guest speaker, somebody who knows more about Google search engine optimization, pay-per-click advertising as they pertain to dentists than anyone else I've ever met. And I say as they pertain to dentists for a reason. That's very intentional because there are probably some great internet search experts, I'll just use that generic term, maybe in your network or that you know or that a friend of yours has utilized for their business. And they may be great at what they do, but it's really important. I've spoken about this on other webinars too, that when you want to find somebody that's so important to your practice, whether it's your accountant, your attorney, your financial advisor, your web person, it just works so much better if they specialize in working with dentists, if they know the intricacies of a dental practice, if they keep track of what patients are searching for, if they know if a patient searches for a certain term, what kind of patient will they be? All these things, when you deal with somebody who works specifically with dentists, that's why you're going to be so much more successful. And that's why we wanted David Herman to come and speak to our webinar tonight. And I'm going to introduce him in just a second, so I know everybody's all excited. By the way, I'm Dr. Richard Maddow. I know most of you know me, and I know many of you, but some of you, maybe it's your first time on one of our webinars, so I'll just give myself a quick introduction. Again, my name is Rich Maddow. I'm actually a dentist, just like you. I know some of you are team members, so just like a dentist and a team member. As I always say, I've been kicked, I've been puked on. I've fought with insurance companies. I know what it's like to prep the distal of tooth number 2 on a patient who's squirming and salivating. So, I had a practice for many years that I grew from zero to a hugely successful practice. So I understand what it's like. I know what you're going through. I know the struggles. I know the joys. I know the successes. And I also know the difficulties of owning a dental practice. And that's one more reason that something I learned the hard way is always work with what I call specialized professionals, whether it's your accountant, your attorney, your lease negotiator, or your internet marketing guy or gal. Always work with people that specifically understand the dental market. So I've just got a couple of things for you before we introduce our guest. I know you probably want to hear him more than you want to hear me. On our Zoom webinar, you can make comments, you can ask questions. We probably won't interrupt David for a question during the flow unless we feel that we really need to, but please feel free to ask questions at any time and we'll save them up. And at the end of the show, which we try to keep it around an hour, if not less, we will certainly get to your questions. So I just have a feeling a bunch of questions are going to pop up, and I know it's not every day you get to chat with somebody who has the expertise of our guest tonight. So we definitely want to make sure he's available for your questions, and he said he would be. So hey, when you go to ask a question on Zoom, there are 2 ways to do it. There's something called Q&A, which it would seem like that's the place to ask questions, but actually I prefer that you use the chat. There's a little box called chat, and You might have to push the 3 buttons that say more to get to your chat, or it might be very visible on your screen. Why don't you take a second now and see if you can find the chat function. And when you find the chat function, you'll notice that you can address your questions or comments to panelists, or if you go down in that menu, to panelists and attendees. And I'm going to ask that you address your questions or your comments to panelists and attendees so everybody can see them. As a matter of fact, if anybody's found that, why don't you just say hello to us, maybe tell us where you're viewing from. Let's just see if anybody's actually paying attention and can use their chat function. I'll start. I'll say hi from Baltimore, because I'm in beautiful downtown Baltimore, Maryland right now. There we go. Okay, great. Oh, someone else from Baltimore. Now, oh, wow, fantastic. Edmonton, Alberta. Wow, we love our Canadian friends. Woodlands, Texas. Dallas, I hope you Texans are doing okay. I know times have been a little tough down in Texas. You've been getting a lot of news coverage, so I hope you're doing well there. Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Indiana, New York, Carolina, Catonsville. This is fantastic. Sunny San Diego. Wow, Phoenix. For just so great to have everybody here. So it looks like most people have figured out how to use the chat function. That's fantastic. Again, feel free to make a comment or ask a question using the chat function. Now, if you've attended any of our webinars or even our live seminars back in those old days where Dave and I, not David Herman, but my brother Dave and I used to go around doing live seminars. By the way, again, I know some of you don't know who we are, but I'm the co-founder of the Maddow Center for Dental Practice Success. We've been teaching, coaching, doing all kinds of great things with dentists for over 30 years. And it's so much fun to help practices see everybody succeed. So if you've been to one of our courses or webinars, you know that one thing I like to do before usually I'm the speaker, but tonight it'll be before introducing the guest, just give you one little tip that will either significantly reduce your overhead or bring some cash into your practice, or just something that's really easy to do. So I can say right away, hey, I watched that webinar and not only did I learn a lot about SEO and pay-per-click, but I made some instant cash. And that's what I want to talk to you real quickly about tonight. And that is your crowns, your bridges, your PFMs. Yes, they contain really valuable metals: gold, silver, platinum, palladium. Precious metals are at a very, very high price right now. So this is more important than ever that you don't throw away your dental scrap, because, hey, as they say, there's gold in that scrap. There's money sitting in that scrap. And I know I did this when I practiced too. I would just throw stuff away and not even think about how much money I was throwing away until I found out that recycling your scrap is a really cool thing to do. So hopefully you're not throwing away your scrap, but even if you are recycling it, please, please, please be careful, because I got to tell you, and I don't want to slam an entire industry, but I will say there are a lot of shady operators in this business. There are people who are just ripping other people off. There are people who are misrepresenting themselves, just all kinds of bad things in this industry. So you got to be really careful. A little picture there, that's $2 a gram. Stan, he's the guy that comes to your office with his little scale and says, hey, I can do better than anyone else because I'm going to pay you cash on the spot. He starts peeling off bills, but they're probably just $1 bills. You think, how can $2 a gram Stan pay me for my precious metals, my gold, my silver, my whatever, my alloys, when he's not even doing an assay? He doesn't know exactly what he's getting. Well, the reason he can is because he pays you such a low price that even if you gave him a bag of tinfoil, he'd probably make out okay. So don't get ripped off by $2 a gram Stan. But even if you're not doing that, even if you're using one of the large companies, and I'll even say reputable or ethical companies, they are not paying you as much as you should get, because most of these huge companies have high overheads. They've got 4-page spreads in the journals. When conventions come back, you'll see they're the ones with the 8,000 square foot booth. They've got very highly paid commissioned salespeople. And again, there's nothing wrong with this, but who's paying for that? Well, they're not, you are, because they pay you less for your metals, and they cover it up with service fees and hidden fees and all kinds of things like that. That's why I really want to introduce you to somebody who I got to say I know personally. His name is Alan Katz, and he's the owner of Southern Dental Refining. And not only is he a great guy, he's extremely ethical, but just as important, he's got a really, really low overhead, family-owned, family-run refining organization. You won't see him having 4-page ads in the journals or huge booths at the conventions. He just keeps his overhead extremely low, and believe it or not, he passes the savings along to you. And that's why he's such a popular person in the dental refining business, because everybody knows they will get not just great service, but their best prices from Southern Dental Refining. And if you're not sure, well, I'm trying to advance my slide there. There you go. Just a couple examples. These are three dentists that use three of the big companies that you've all heard of. And this is what they got when they got their scrap back from those companies and sent them to Southern Dental. One guy was getting about 6,000 and he got 10,000 with Southern Dental, then 1,000 to 7,000, and then 2340 to 5710. I'm just getting a text that we have the wrong phone number up there. I think we do this every time. So I'll tell you the correct phone number. We'll put it in the comments. But the best thing to do is go to matto.com/gold. Matto.com/gold. And there you can fill out a little form, and Southern Dental Refining will actually send you a prepaid mailing label. So all you need to do is take your scrap, throw it in a lab box, put the label on, boom, he'll get it, he'll assay it, and he'll send you a big check, just like Jason Morgan got. He said, before I started with Southern Dental Refining, I was getting between $300 and $800. My first dealing with SDR, I saved extra long, hoping for $1,500. But then he got, I can't see this because it's black with all the other things in my dashboard there. There it is. He got $7,010 each time. It's been good. So that's the kind of checks you're going to get when you use Southern Dental Refining. Just like I think we've actually got a picture of a check. Wouldn't you love to have this show up in your mailbox? $6,400. So please don't get ripped off. Don't go with one of the high overhead companies. Use Southern Dental Refining. Just go to matto.com/gold. Or if you want to write this down, if you're a phone number kind of person, and we'll put it in the comments. It's 813-263-3309. 813-363-3309. Again, we'll put it in the comments. But the easiest thing is just to go to matto.com/gold. Okay, once again, use the chat function, not the Q&A. I'm going to stop my screen share and I'll appear really large on there. Yay, hey, everybody. Oh, it's so good to see you here. With that said, that's our little special pro tip for the night, a way you can bring money into your practice instantly. Now, of course, there's another way you can bring money into your practice. Maybe not quite instantly, but it might be pretty darn fast. And that is by using search engine optimization and pay-per-click to get targeted, specifically great new patients coming into your office. Again, it's a topic that we get a lot of questions on, and that's why I wanted to bring a very, very special guest to talk about it. David Herman is the founder of Web Marketing for Dentists. He'll tell you a little bit more about his history, but just suffice it to say, he's been doing this for many years. He works exclusively with dentists, which I love, and his track record is amazing. I know about many practices that he has helped, and they are getting implant patients, Invisalign patients, patients that need a lot of restorative work, just the kind of people you want in your practice, just by knowing all the tips and secrets to getting patients when you do your online marketing. So without further ado, David, you can start your screen share. I'm going to turn it over to you and welcome you. Thanks so much for being here with us tonight.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks, Rich. Let's do that handover sequence. Is everything working? Can you see my screen?
Looks great.
Yeah? Okay, great. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the time that everybody's giving. I will try to be quick and to the point. I'll probably speak for about 35 minutes. Okay, this is entitled 8 Questions Smart Dentists Ask About SEO, and hopefully some answers that are also smart. I hope they will be. Let's crack on. So first of all, question 0, which really comes before the 8, is who am I even asking these questions to? Who is the man behind the Groucho Marx mask? It's me, David Herman. I graduated with a master's from Cambridge University in language and linguistics, which sent me off to the communications industry. I ended up working for ad agencies on a whole bunch of big brands that I've put in there. And then I actually had a much better time of it working for, moving to the small business sector and working for dentists. Ended up getting involved through a friend of mine and really liked it. And the best thing about working with dentists is you can really see the actual effect of the marketing that you're doing. Everybody wants to know that they're doing something that really helps. And I really have the feeling after my 17 years with Web Marketing for Dentists that I'm really helping. We're an agency that does PPC, that's pay-per-click, and SEO, search engine optimization. We do some other things as well, but those are the 2 things that I'm going to be focusing on tonight. And it's not just me as well. It's not a one-stop shop with just me. It's there's a whole bunch of people. There are 7 employees who are basically dental marketing masters. And just in case you know, the way we work that out is there's a 10,000 hours rule that Malcolm Gladwell came up with. It's a rule of mastery. Once you've done something for 10,000 hours, you kind of become a master at that. 10,000 hours is about 5 years of working 40 hours a week. So we have 7 employees who've actually gone past that point just with dental marketing. I mean, it's 100% dental marketing every day for us. So there are a lot of us who are already at that master level. I'm actually at the 30,000 hours level. I've been doing it for 17 years. So I guess I'm a triple master. Let's hope that comes across in this presentation. There's just some other numbers on that slide as well. I'm not going to read them all to you. The main point is we've done a lot of advertising just for dentists, tremendous specialization, and we've worked with over 1,500 dental practices and done about, I've done personally 50 SEO projects with dental offices alone, and other SEO projects in my previous pre-dentist days. So that's just to let you know that probably we've got some things that we know about. Of course, nobody's perfect, but you know, let's go ahead with the questions. And this is framed from the point of view of questions that I've heard, which I have good answers to, and hopefully, because they're questions that really came from dentists that I've spoken to over the years now, I hope that they're questions that some of you have in mind. This one is a very basic one, right? What is SEO? Some of you will be rolling your eyes because you totally know what it is. It's going to be a really short answer. I just want everybody, there are some people who mistake SEO for something else. We're going to clarify it with a couple of pictures. Let's not go ahead too fast. Okay, this one is just a search that I did on dental implants. Up at top, there are a couple of ads. Those are PPC, they're pay per click. They're also called AdWords, Google ads, paid listings, sponsored ads. They're called a lot of different things. It's the same thing. Somebody clicks on them, you're paying Google. That's what those are at the top. Then right in the middle section there with tremendous standout is the Google map listings. That's part of SEO. So Google map listings, Google My Business, the GMB, also now called the 3-pack, because they finally decided that, you know, they will have a listing of 3 in there almost exclusively. And then below that are the old-fashioned traditional organic search results. If you kept scrolling down on this iPhone here, you would just see result after result that looks exactly like that one at the bottom. And the thing to remember here is you're paying as a dentist on average $5 per click. If you're in Manhattan, you're paying closer to 10. If you're in the middle of rural Kansas, you're paying closer to 3 maybe. But you're paying for those top clicks. You're paying $0 for a click anywhere on SEO 1 and SEO 2. So that's why it's a really exciting area. That's why people get really excited about it. They don't want to give away their money to Google. They want to keep it in their pocket. I totally understand that. And often you will see it can be tremendously productive and can get you tremendously low cost per leads. Meaning a cost for somebody to call you who's interested in becoming a new patient can be much lower in SEO. And I'll show you some of that from some real live case studies as well. So just a quick definition. So search engine optimization is any activity that improves the website's organic ranking, gets you up the ranking towards the #1 position, or really now what we're talking about is that 3-pack, the map listings. That's really where all the gold is now because of the prominence that it has. There's 3 ways in which Google judges you. It judges you on relevance, right? Does this site answer the question that has been posed? If somebody's searching on dental veneers and you don't have a page on your website about dental veneers, you will not show. That's pretty simple. Location is very important. If you are a dentist in Chicago and somebody is searching in Miami, you will not show. That also seems very logical. Again, Google is driven by relevance and by getting the best possible results for its users, which are the searchers, the people doing the search. And then the final piece is prominence. You know, does this seem like a trustworthy site? If you have built your site using Cold Fusion and Flash on a server that you put up in your own garage, then probably they're going to have a few issues with it. But, you know, that's something that's more technical. And I'm sure that most of your sites are totally fine and are pretty prominent. Now let's move on to the good stuff. What's the real goal of SEO? This is where we get into the meat of what we're discussing. This I just wanted to go through. I'll come back to it during the course of the presentation. So SEO is really about getting you position. You're getting position within the search engine results pages, right? What is the reason for that position? So you can present yourself well, so that you generate a lead, an incoming call usually from a potential prospect. Then hopefully you close that new patient and you make some production. You've got revenue coming in. So that's the sales flow. That's the pipeline that we're going to try to fill. And we'll come back to that in a few moments. It's just useful to have in mind. Let's go straight away to just a search result. I don't know why I ended up searching on Decatur, Georgia. I don't even know if I pronounce it Decatur, Georgia. You know, I'm from England. Some of these names are very strange to me, but I happen to be doing a search, dentist near Decatur, Georgia. And I think the results are very important to look at. So all three of these dentists, and there are many other dentists, you can see the dots on the map there, indicate there are other dentists in the area, but these three have been prioritized by Google. And I'll bet you that all of them have done something towards getting the position that they now have. Of course, the big question is really, which dentist will you not choose? You've been presented with three. And of course, I think all of us are going to immediately rule out the middle one, North Decatur Dentistry. It would be terrible, by the way, if somebody from North Decatur Dentistry was on this call right now, and terribly ironic. But obviously, they've done a lot of good things, right? They've got themselves into the right position, but look how terrible the reviews look, right? You look at the stars, 3.2. Everybody's looking for a 4++. 3.2 really rules them out. And all that they've done by having 43 people go on and leave them reviews is they've confirmed that, yeah, these people are definitely subpar. They are below average, right? That's not what we would be hoping for. We're going to look at one of the other two. And let's face it, we'll probably go with Decatur Smiles. Even though Great Expressions has more volume, at a 4.1, it's like the bottom of the good level, and Decatur Smiles is really excellent. 4.9 is actually even better, the stats say, than a 5, because a 5 looks like you artificially game the system. 4.9 looks like, oh, there's a few people who didn't quite give them 5, so it looks like it's reasonable. And 341 is definitely enough people to trust. There's a point where you can get, you know, a mile wide and an inch deep with these reviews. And we're going to talk about that a little bit as we go through. So the reviews really make an impression. They're a really important part of this whole process. There are some other SEO factors, and I just want to differentiate reviews from the other factors. So there are things like website quality, the content, what have you actually written on the website? Is it unique? Is it fresh? Has it been refreshed recently? The code of the website, how's it coded in the back end? We're not going to get into any of that, but all of that is known as on-page SEO, right? It's the stuff that you do on the actual website pages, right? We're not going to talk about it. It would be a very boring discussion if we did it, but that's a separate discussion I can be invited back for the boring SEO discussion. Then there's also the part of off-page, right? SEO also has an off-page element, which is listings, the different citations throughout the internet where your business is listed in different and on different websites, Yellow Pages, Yelp, etc. And then backlinks from other, you know, perhaps local business associations that might link back to you, maybe a news website that you've had a story on that links back to your page. So all of that is off-page SEO. And we're not going to talk about that either, although it's definitely more interesting. There are some stories to give for that. What I want to focus on is the GMB, that's the Google My Business listing, which is what we're seeing on the right here. And in particular, the reviews. And the reviews, again, because when you look at that listing, you're not thinking, what's the brand name? What time are they open in the morning? What's the address? You're going to drive, you're in Decatur already. You're going to drive an extra 5 minutes to avoid North Decatur Dentistry and get to Decatur Smiles, wherever you are. You're going to Decatur Smiles, you're not going to North Decatur Dentistry. So the reviews are really important. That's what jumps out at you. That's the yellow, those are the yellow pops of color that really make you say, okay, does this positioning work for me? So if we go back to what we just talked about before, you could say that the off-page SEO, which is really important, it's only going to affect you in terms of getting you the position in the first place. So probably that middle company, I forgot their name already, North Decatur Dentistry, had really good off-page work done. They possibly even had good on-page work. They probably have a nice website. So their position work has been done. Some of the on-page stuff, by the way, is also important for presentation. If they write really nicely about what a root canal procedure is, somebody could read that and say, oh, they explain that really well. I'm gonna call them up. So there's something to the on-page that goes beyond just getting you the position. It also is part of the presentation. But reviews is a very different area, because not only does it affect the position, Google wants you to have reviews and likes it when you have a lot of reviews. So that boosts your position. It's also key for presentation, which we just saw, because we all basically agreed, or we would have agreed if I could have heard you, that the best place for us to go was definitely Decatur Smiles. We all felt that, right? So the presentation worked. The lead generation, I'm probably going to call right now because I know that it's the best place, right? I already saw it. They gave me 3. I'm choosing 1 out of 3. And it even gets to the point where in the close, reviews that people have seen, and if people clicked in and they actually read reviews, they get attached sometimes to individual reviews. And although I'm not a dentist myself, I've heard anecdotes from many of my own dentist clients telling me how people have said, you know, when I read what Lisa said on the website, I knew you were the dentist for me. And they say things like that because they get stories stuck in their head and they project what people have said to their own particular lives. There's a bunch of psychological reasons for it, but reviews are useful all the way through the sales process. So we're going to concentrate a little bit at the beginning here on reviews. And if you think that you know everything about reviews, stay with me, because I think that you'll learn a little bit more. Okay, so the third question is, how do I get more or better reviews? So we wanted to improve this question a little bit. So our first try was, how do I get more 5-star reviews? It's important when you ask for a review to ask if somebody would mind giving you a 5-star review. You have to ask for the 5 stars. There are some people who believe that you cannot give 5 stars, and they will tell you how they never give 5 stars. They will only give you 4, and really nobody's perfect, and 5 out of 5 would mean 100%. Nobody can be perfect, so I'm giving you 4. No, thank you very much. You want the 5 stars. Ask for the stars that you want. If they tell you they can't give 5 stars because it's their personal opinion, that doesn't apply, then say, no, thank you very much. You want the 5 stars, ask for it, and you'll get it. The second thing that's even better is to ask about procedure-specific 5-star reviews. If everything is just generally about how good you are as a dentist, a great dentist, a great front desk, I love everybody, the people are great, they fixed my problem, but they don't specify what the procedure is, you'll have a ton of reviews and nobody will know that you will be able to help them specifically with their issue. So that's the real problem. Now, we'll go into procedure specific a little bit more in a second. I just want to talk about having no excuses for not having good reviews. Front desk staff is the ideal part of your office to ask for reviews. It's much easier for them to ask than it is usually for the dentist, but it is not necessary. And do not use that as an excuse. Oh, my front desk won't do it. I've heard it before. Dr. Pearl, who's positioned on the right here, got himself 118 Google reviews. I told him, you're destroying your business by not having Google reviews. Get the front desk on it. He did not do that. He just spoke to every patient that came in. If they were happy and they said, how can I ever thank you? He said, well, you know, pay the bill. And by the way, you could leave me a nice review online. He said it literally like that. He didn't give them a link. He didn't tell them to go to Google. They found a way to give him a review, and 118 people gave him a review that averaged out at 4.9. And he got that in 6 months. So he was able to do it. I'm not recommending this. I'm just saying you could do it yourself. If you can get your front desk involved, the next slide is going to show you exactly the steps that you should take with them to get great reviews through your staff, obviously from your patients. Now, there are automated systems. Right? There's a bunch of you saying, I've got all of this automated. I've got Bird Eye sending things out, or any number of different companies that are sending out emails after every person shows up. The problem is you get a ton of reviews, but a lot of them are very shallow positive reviews. You know, very happy, satisfied again, great cleaning, right? They just say very short things which show positivity, and they give you a 5-star, but there's no depth to what they're saying and there's no detail. So people find it difficult to connect to them. They also lead to a lot of negative reviews. You may have already experienced this. Many of my clients have experienced it. People are much more likely, if they have had a bad experience, to write a review rather than if they had a good experience. There's something psychological going on with people feeling that they're helping others to avoid a negative effect. People feel quite self-righteous about it. Negative reviews have been proven to be more popular if you just generically send out a please give us a review link than positive reviews. So let's use humans. Humans are still better at this. They're extremely good at screening for quality reviews, because when they see somebody who's happy and looking at their teeth in a mirror and smiling, sitting in your office, they'll go up to them and say, hey, you're really pleased with your smile? And they'll say yes. And they'll say, would you mind giving us a 5-star review? When the person is in pain from a root canal he had yesterday and is cursing the name of the dentist, that is not the person that they go up to ask for a review. Very simple for a human to get that. It is not very simple for an automated system. The email goes out anyway. Hey, please give us a review, guy with a very painful root canal. So that's something that is great about humans. What's also great about humans is they can help to explain to the patient how to actually write a review. Writing a review is not easy. It's actually like writing a story. Let's go into a little bit of detail on how the front desk can help you. So you see a happy patient, you ask for the 5-star review that we talked about. It's important to send a link to the person you're talking to for your Google My Business page so that they do the completion of the review on their own device. Google knows if they're using a computer that's in your office, Google knows all of these reviews are coming from the same device. Let them do it on their own device, but hopefully don't just let them walk out and say they'll do it later. Ideally, do it there and then, right? If you do it to 10 people and you fill it in with them and you help them push all the buttons to get through, you've got 100% compliance, and pretty much they're going to write whatever you want them to write. That is the ideal. Again, it also gives you the opportunity to help them structure the story. This is a story they're writing in the reviews. Most people just give you a phrase. I'm very happy, you know, delighted again, right? Nice, but not what you want. You want to start with a story has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. And because you're a dentist, the beginning, middle, and end are always very similar. The beginning is always the problem that brought them in. Their teeth were brown or yellow or, you know, the wrong color. The middle is the solution or process they went through. They looked at teeth whitening, it wasn't appropriate, tetracycline stains, they had to do veneers, right? It was painless, that's the middle. And then the end is, how do they feel now? What's happening in their life now? I got remarried, I found somebody, I got a job, I smile much more, everybody says I look happier, whatever it happens to be. So that's really what you get to do if you train your staff properly. It's simple stuff, but they can help people to put down the story and also to make it more procedure oriented. And I'll show you an example of where focusing on the procedure is really helpful. First of all, a simple search that I did this morning where it was not helpful. This is procedure non-specific. There are 310 reviews for this office, Bal Harbour Smiles. So you can see that right at the top here that I've circled in red are all the keywords that Google has pulled out of all the reviews that were written. Because there's 310 reviews, they know nobody's going to read through 310. So what they try to do is they try to help the consumer, your future patient, to understand what kinds of procedures, what kinds of things are people talking about. Now, if it was procedures, that would be useful. They've got hygienist in, they've got teeth cleaning, that's a procedure. They've got crown, that's a procedure. Now, of all the procedures that you do, I don't think that those are the two that you would want to feature the most. You would want some of your prestigious implants, Invisalign, veneers. You'd want some bigger cases to be up there, some of those superstar cases where you transform somebody's life. But they're not there right now. So I went on. I moved on like a consumer to the next dentist, and I get somebody with, this time, 320 reviews, almost the same number. Again, Google says, you know, they're not going to go through 320. Let me give them some focus And let me give them some of the keywords that I'm pulling out that I see are common. And you'll see at the bottom on the second line, you've got Invisalign, wisdom teeth, and implants that all have reasonable numbers. So, you know, what people are going to do is they're going to go there and they're going to say, oh, wisdom teeth, 10 people, let me read about their experience, because I have a wisdom tooth problem. I don't care about Invisalign and I don't care about implants. I care about wisdom teeth. I want the particular. I don't want to know that he's generally a good dentist. I want to know he's particularly good with wisdom teeth. And now if you look down here at the bottom of the page, I've highlighted in yellow that this lady here, Gilmarie Perea, actually says, I chose Dr. Anatoly Ripper because he had the best reviews for wisdom teeth extractions. This is a complete gift to a presenter, because she's actually telling you what I wanted to tell you she did. She came to this page and she clicked on wisdom teeth. And she clicked on wisdom teeth and she went through to this page. This is me clicking through on wisdom teeth. And there she is, she's number one. And there's all the other, well, you can only see two, but if you scroll down, there's another 7 people that give 5-star reviews, all talking about wisdom teeth. How powerful is that in terms of getting somebody, in terms of presenting yourself as a person that can take care of a wisdom tooth problem? So that's why you want to get people to start talking about procedures, because people make decisions based on procedures, much more than just on general dentistry. Okay, question 4. After I've told everybody that, they usually say, so is it just about Google reviews? And the answer is no. It is first about Google reviews, but then what? So there's a couple of different places that I think you should extend to, different platforms. One is Yelp. I think that after you start having a solid number of Google reviews, maybe when you're at 50, you should start saying to people, as you ask them about leaving a review, you can ask people, what about Yelp? Yelp is, you can ask them if they've ever written a Yelp review. That's the important thing to ask, because only Yelp users can get reviews published. And even amongst Yelp users, I'm not sure how many get their reviews published. Ask them if they've had a Yelp review published. If they have, ask them to write the 5-star review in Yelp instead of Google. There are quite few people who use Yelp, but the 5 stars in Yelp is highly valued by people because they know that Yelp is very stringent on their reviews. How do they know? Because a lot of people don't get their reviews published. Here's a line that you will find on many people's Yelp page that says 18 other reviews that are not currently recommended. You can click and you can click through. It takes you like 2 or 3 clicks to get through to read them. But if they're not recommended by Yelp, people see that as Yelp being picky and only wanting the best reviews. So that is going to really help you. Yelp is a good support for Google reviews, and you don't even need that many. If you had 5, maybe 10, and they were all 5-star, you would be in a very solid position. The second one to look at, in addition to Google, is Facebook. Facebook for a different reason. You can do the same thing. Do you use Facebook? Are you an active Facebook user? If yes, then you can ask them to write you a Facebook 5-star review. Facebook reviews are seen instantly as soon as they're finished by all the friends of the patient, right? You can see this this is actually Decatur Smiles, and this is the 28 people, some of the 28 people that actually clicked on either a heart emoji or a thumbs up emoji to say that they saw Cindy's very nice review of Dr. Dillon at Decatur Smiles. Now, of these 28 people, and there's only 28 people who actually clicked on something, but many more people, many more of her friends saw that she wrote the review. And guess what? Maybe a few of them said, you know what, I'll look up Decatur Smiles. I've always wanted to go, to go get my teeth taken care of, or I'm not happy with my dentist right now, or they'll see that this is a woman dentist. I've always wanted a woman dentist. I'm going to go there. So it leads to direct referrals in a way that doesn't happen as directly from Yelp and Google. And you can see actually here on the Decatur Smiles page, when I searched Decatur Smiles, I got, of course, the very strong 341 Google reviews, 4.9 stars. But over here in support is Yelp and Facebook on the left-hand side, telling me 5-star rating, 5-star rating. Now, I would tell this dentist that if you've got Facebook and you're depending on one vote, right, that means one person left a 5-star rating. One person in Yelp left a 5-star rating. Most people aren't going to look at those numbers so much. I saw it, but I saw it as a vulnerability. If they had 5 Facebook and 5 Yelp, they would be much more secure. Now, if somebody comes along and gives them a 1, they're going to go to 2.5 stars, and it's not going to look so great. So they really need to improve in this area, but that's the kind of thing that you want to have going for you, is the Google reviews on the right-hand side and then Facebook and Yelp supporting you on the left. So I think that's a great goal to go for. And I'll give you a priorities list a little bit later so you can remember this. Finally, on reviews, really important that getting any kind of deeper written reviews, you have to give people a structure for it. And certainly if you're going to go beyond reviews, which is basically getting to audio and video testimonials, you're going to need some kind of a template. And we have a template here on the right that we use and that we give to all of our dentists. And I'm happy to give it to you as well. If you contact me, there's my text number here, there's my email number here. I'll send it to you. Basically what it is, it's something that the front desk prints out and they fill it in for every person that says, yes, they want to give a review. So they'll fill things in, like, for instance, we have an audio number that people can call and leave an audio message. Nobody says no to that, by the way. Audio is hugely underestimated. People love audio. Video is taking over now, but audio is also great. Video people sometimes say no because they don't like, oh, they're going to take a photo of me, I don't like it, but nobody doesn't leave a voicemail message on your phone, right? So that's what an audio testimonial is. But notice as well, we put things in like, how to leave a great insert procedure name here. You have to remind people that they're giving you an Invisalign review, or they're giving you a root canal review. You write it in there so they remember to mention the procedure. Then you say it's a testimonial for how many of your clients know that you are Dr. Smith or Dr. Sharma, right? They all know you by name. Do they know what your practice is called? I don't know what my own dentist practice is called. I know his last name, but I don't know what the practice is called. So they should really leave it for the practice. Testimonial for Happy Smiles. Whatever the name of your practice is. And then as you go through the steps, they just fill in the basics. Here, step 2, 3, and 4 are really beginning, middle, and end, which we already discussed. The first part is just reminding them to give their name if they're doing an audio or video. And the last part is just to give a recommendation. So really, it's still the same structure, same 3-part structure. We just extended it a little bit in case of video or audio. So that is something that I will be happy to send you. Just let me know that you want it. Quick public service announcement that I was told to say. Rich was very clear about this. If you are going to leave, if you are an early leaver, you should know that I have an offer that I'm going to make at the end. If you want it, you don't have to stay till the end to get it. A free, no obligation SEO analysis on your website. You send me your website and I'll do an analysis on it, tell you what the opportunity is. We haven't even got into discussing how you work out opportunities. We're going to get into that shortly. And I'll also send you this free patient review template from slide 24. Okay, we're on to question 5 already. Now, I'm not doing SEO. Should I? Should I start? So this is somebody who hasn't started yet. Should they begin? So the key question is going to be, is there an opportunity? You've got to be able to measure that opportunity. And I'll give you a couple of things to look at, right? First, on the positive side, on the left-hand side. On the positive side, you've got free clicks, right? We all know they're free. That's why we're here talking about SEO. And also potentially a huge market. If you could show for every dental-related keyword that is searched, that would be terrific. That would be an enormous market. I don't know that you can ever show for everything, but maybe you could dominate. Then on the right-hand side, I think is very important as well. That's the negatives, right? The negatives used to have, I'm going to talk about the one with the cross in it right now, because that is no longer a negative. Limited trackability used to be a real negative to SEO. It's like you try your best, you show that there are some number ones here and there, and you hope that the client is kind of happy. That is not the case anymore. You can track how many leads you get from SEO. I'm going to show you that shortly. At the top there, it says it takes time. I mean, Rich introduced me by saying, maybe it could happen instantly. I don't know if it will happen instantly. I can tell you it's not going to happen instantly. Anybody who tells you that it's going to be instantly, turn around and run. That is not a proper SEO person. SEO people know this stuff takes time. Could take 6 months, could take 12 months. If you come to me from Manhattan, do not expect that it will take less than 2 years. It's, this is serious time and effort required. It might be less for you depending on your location and your competitors, but we would have to look at that. But anything less than 6 months for results is really not very realistic. And then also there are limitations by your local area. We're going to talk a little bit more about time, and we're going to try to work out a return on investment analysis on what you spend before you actually start getting results. So we're going to come back to that. But right now we're going to talk about the limits of your local area. So here are some limitations. So location is a really big consideration for Google. Google's top priority is relevant results. Being close is very important. Like we said, you're in Miami, you want to show in Chicago, it's not going to happen. You're in Miami and you want to show in Fort Lauderdale, it's also not going to happen, right? Those are two separate cities. Google understands that they're separate, and there's plenty of dentists in Fort Lauderdale. You've got to come up with an amazing SEO strategy to show in Fort Lauderdale when there's 200 dentists in Fort Lauderdale. So that's something that has to be taken very seriously. Then there's a whole problem of tiny and huge populations. Both of them are hard to sustain an SEO campaign for. So at both ends of the spectrum, you've got very tiny, small rural areas where you could probably be number one very quickly. There, I might say, yeah, definitely in a couple of months, we could be top in your area. Well, what's my likely return going to be? Well, not very much, because there's only 75 people within 50 miles. So yeah, it's just you may as well just go and tell each of them that you have a dental office and you would love to see them. So really small areas are going to be difficult to get the volume. And then the flip side is true on somewhere like Manhattan. You've got 10 million people on a small island, great captive audience. Unfortunately, you have thousands of dentists in there as well. And some of those dentists have been doing SEO for 20 years, probably. I mean, catching up with those people is a serious event that has to happen. So, we would have to talk about those polls. Are very interesting. Hopefully you fall somewhere in the middle, and we can have a more positive conversation with you. Now, remember also, geo cannot be expanded very easily. If you live in, for instance, Lansdowne in Virginia, right? Population 11,000. You will not rank in Leesburg, which is your target market. And it's right across the street, literally across the street is Leesburg, Virginia. Population 6 times your population in Lansdowne. Forget it, you're stuck in Lansdowne. They have dentists in Leesburg. Those dentists have offices that have addresses that are in Leesburg. Google sees that and immediately gives all the points to all of those dentists in Leesburg. You would have to be messing up in a tremendous way as a dentist, messing up with your website, doing terrible things on the website, having completely irrelevant content in order to give a chance to Lansdowne dentists to start appearing in Leesburg. So really, it's about where your local area is. And sometimes for people in Lansdowne, we would say, you know what the best thing for you to do is you should do pay-per-click, because pay-per-click is going to allow you to go across the street and grab everybody from Leesburg. But if you put all of your chips in the SEO basket for that, you're never going to get it. It's almost inevitable you won't get that. I don't want to say never and that nobody could ever do it. It will be very, very long, and it will take a long, long time. Okay, question 6. I'm already doing SEO. How do I measure results? Okay, this is an area that is very interesting. So the answer is really reports, but I put a question mark because I'm not sure that the reports are that good. First of all, many people have reports that are similar to this. So they're in the wilderness, they've never seen a report in their life, maybe something flashes past them very quickly on the screen, but they don't see anything. There's no contact from the SEO company. They just tell them that they're doing great. No reports at all. Everything's under control. Have you had calls recently? You have? There, you see, it's working. That is not the way that SEO should work. There should be much more tangible connection to what the SEO team is doing. Now, you might also start to see charts like this. I'm going to show you a few charts now. I'm going to zip through them because none of them really speak to you. I mean, I know you guys are scientists. You see a lot of charts. You understand how to read charts. but none of this is very helpful. You know, SEO people, they like arrows going up, arrows going down, plus signs. What does it all mean? You know, 90 up, 50 down. So net, I'm 40 up. Is that good? Here's another chart. I mean, here's one that one of my own SEO managers presented to me and said, we got it. We got the perfect, this has everything in it. So I said, please never show me that chart again. The only reason I like it is because I can show you guys. I mean, this is just very confusing. You could maybe pull something out of it eventually, but there needs to be a simpler way. So that is question 7. People say, is there a better way to report on SEO results? And often they say that because they'll be doing pay-per-click with us, and pay-per-click results is very easy to report on. People know what their cost per lead is, and we can follow, you know, we track all of the calls coming in and we listen to them. And it's just really very, very detailed, the analysis that you can do in pay-per-click. But guess what? Now there's been a NAP revolution, and we can do exactly the same in SEO. So the NAP is not asleep. Please wake up if you have been having a nap. This is very important stuff. NAP is the name, address, and phone number of your building. It used to be of your building, of your business, which might be in a building. So that used to be mandated by Google, that be consistent, not only in Google My Business, not only on your website, but also on all the other listings around the web. It always had to be consistent, and it had to be your actual number. So there was no way to use tracking numbers. And actually, you used to get penalized for using tracking numbers, and they would demote you. They would drop you down the rankings as they saw that you were trying to track this effort. So about 2 years ago, we started to hear from people within the industry that Google had backed off and was allowing people to use tracking numbers. We didn't believe it. We tested 1 client, we tested 2. We now have every client on tracking numbers. We're tracking all of the SEO incoming calls. Here's what we do with it. We send it to an auto attendant, or an IVR, as it's technically called, and it has a voice message on it. And it says, if you're a new patient, press 1. If you're an existing patient, press 2. If you press 2, you go straight to the front desk as per normal. If you press 1, you're a new patient and you're directed to either the office manager, the dentist himself, a call center, whoever's in charge of taking the new patient calls and trying to convince them to come in for a consult. So that has really enabled us to do real work on new patient growth month over month within SEO. It's really revolutionized the SEO reporting, and it's less about what position are you in and what graphs can I show you that show that we're doing better than we were doing 6 months ago. And it's more about what are the number of leads that I'm getting and what is the return on investment. And I'm going to show you a chart here, October through February. So October through February, this is 6 different clients, each has a different color. And I'll show you that, you know, one client in particular, let's talk about purple, right? Purple is AW. So AW starts in October at what, 45 new patients, and he goes up, he goes down slightly, and then he's just up for the next 3 months. And now he's from 45, he's up at 95, something like that. This is a no problem situation here. Here we go in, we explain that the numbers are going up. That's all the discussion needs to be, right? Now we can just move on, keep on going. That's the message. Now there are people that are more difficult because this, again, this is transparent both ways. If it's good, you can say, okay, it's good, it's going up. Okay, you must be doing the right thing. With the red line here, IP, right? It started off going up, kind of came down, stayed flat, and now we're basically down, maybe even a little bit below where we were in October. I don't know the specific situation with this particular client, but this client is going to want to know more than just, you know, what the numbers of new patients were, because the numbers of new patients hasn't changed from October to February, even though it went up in the interim. So maybe there's an explanation here. Maybe there's a plan for going forward. Maybe that has to take a little bit longer than we would have taken with Mr. Purple here. But it's a good thing that we have transparency, even for ourselves. We look at that and we're also like, what went wrong? What did we do wrong? How can we figure it out? We also want to know that the results are bad. If they're good, we want to know they're good. If they're bad, we want to know they're bad, because eventually somebody will find out. You cannot build a business based on bad results that you're just kind of masking, you know? So that's kind of our attitude. And here's, all of them together as an agency. We're very happy, obviously, that, those 6 clients there are all moving in the right direction. This is a series. Each column here is it's a 4-office group. So each one of them is 4 offices. And I want to just, I'll just do this pointer thing. I wanted to show you the difference. So December 2020, 75 leads, right? Went up in January to 106, right? 26 leads went to 46, 36 went to 39, 62 went to 83. So these are all the increases here. The changes all went up. Again, this was a very short meeting because from this meeting, the doctor could tell, oh, the investment in SEO is working. These SEO numbers are numbers that I like to hear. I don't want to see any more of the charts. I just want to see this. So either if you're doing your SEO yourself, you need to start tracking properly and using tracking numbers. CallRail, call tracking metrics, there's 1,000,001 different call vendors out there to help you track. And if you're using an SEO that doesn't want to do this and that tells you the NAP is more important, and we were interviewing for a job last week and we spoke to somebody who's an experienced guy and he's like, I don't want to mess with the NAP. Number, address, name, address, phone, that's my Bible. And we said, no, we know that it works. We've already tested it. But there are many people out there who don't know. So you have to demand of your SEO people that they show you some data like this so you can really see the leads coming through. And we have also a quick ROI calculation. This will help with the idea that you'll go with 0 production during the initial part of the SEO, whether it's 6 months or 12 months. You have to be able to justify that with some math. So we're now at 250 new patients. For this particular client we just saw with the 4 offices, 250 new patients. We used to be at 100 new patients. That's 150 extra new patients per month. Average value of a new patient, according to the client, is $1,000. Okay. Estimated production per month, 150 times 1,000, $150,000 per month. That has been added. Now, you've got to factor in, there are 12 months of 0 production SEO. That was $72,000. Ongoing, it's $6,000 a month. So what we did here to get the annualized gross income is we got the 1.8 million, which is 150,000 per month, times 12, right? For this year, let's say. We took away the 72,000 from the year that was a fallow year where there was no money. We just invested, straight investment and no result. It wasn't actually no results, but we're going to play as if it was no results. Results did come, but smaller results. And then we're going to put in this year another 72K. So we're going to take 72K out twice. I mean, it's already 1.8 million, so it doesn't make a big difference. 1.65 million. The ROI is still around 25. Maybe it's 24. It's good. It's good return on investment. And that leads us to the final question. There are 8 magical questions tonight. Is SEO better than paid ads or PPC, right? And it's really not the right question because it's just about sequencing. Which one comes first? How do they help each other? So let's talk about it a little bit. On the left-hand side, obviously, when you're doing pay-per-click, you're paying a PPC manager or an agency like me. On SEO, you're paying an SEO manager or an agency like me. Or you're doing it yourself, perhaps. But everybody is going to have to pay the clicks on this side. So PPC is always going to come with clicks. Here, there's no money, right? You don't have to pay for clicks. So what does that look like? So I'm going to show you some case studies right now, and they're going to range from $2,500 on the PPC side per month to $8,000 per month, right, spent on PPC. And those same clients also have an SEO campaign that they're paying $1,000 to $2,000 a month. So you're going to see the difference, right, live. These are real numbers from real clients. So this is good stuff. Okay, this is a Toronto general dentist who does Invisalign, super focused on Invisalign. So 86 leads, this is in a month, $95 per lead. It's not bad for Invisalign. Invisalign is expensive, super competitive, lots of competitors in there who aren't even Invisalign, other dentists who are Invisalign competitors. But here, 79 leads in SEO at $25 per lead. So they're almost the same in terms of the volume of leads they generate, but obviously these just get combined, which is great. This, $25, he wishes that he could do the PPC at $25, but you know what? He'll take the $95 as well because he closes well and it's a $5,000 procedure. So why does he care? He's, he obviously wants me to optimize this, but, we're doing our best, and, we're keeping this going for volume. It still makes money on this, right? Next one, two specialists together, prosthodontist and an orthodontist, implants and all on four for the prosthodontist, obviously orthodontics for the orthodontist. 61 PPC leads, right, in a month at $65 per lead. You can see the amounts that are spent here on the top. And I'm just doing a simple division here. And this is 103 leads for SEO. $10 per lead is his cost for SEO. Super low cost per lead, very high number of leads. It's more than his PPC leads. If there's anybody that could, if he wanted to, take his foot off the gas on PPC, it's this fellow here, because he's just getting a ton of action on SEO. Does he? No, he does not, because he also wants these 61 leads at $65 a lead, because volume is where it's at, and he makes money on both sides of this equation. One more really good one, then I'm going to show you a bad one. I'm going to show you our worst performing dentist, who I hope is not on this call. So it was not that bad. General dentist, emergency and Invisalign in a New Jersey suburb, 99 leads through pay-per-click, $47 per lead. Great stats for PPC. Has almost as many SEO leads. And look at that. He's got $11 per lead. I mean, most of the time it's like a quarter of what we're paying on PPC. But remember, these are all mature SEO campaigns that are now bringing in money. All of these people went through times where they were looking at their watch. They were calling me, well, we're paying again. We didn't get anything. And that was back in the day when we really couldn't track anyway. So they had no way to know it was worth nothing. And maybe it wasn't worth nothing. It was worth something, but it wasn't worth what it's worth now, because these are mature campaigns. I'm going to show you the bad one now. Okay. Or this is the worst of the group. It's still good. General dentist, veneers, implants, all on four in Washington State, somewhere in a suburb. 47 leads, $54 per lead on the PPC side, 28 leads. So we're kind of far away. It's like half as many leads, and then $36 per lead. It's still cheaper than the PPC, but it's at $36. I mean, I've been showing you $10 and $11 dollars and $25. It hurts, right? But this is the bad one, right? So the bad one is also good. So just to kind of summarize quickly, if you've got different criteria here. So on speed, pay-per-click is going to be the one that gets you up very fast. SEO is going to take a commitment. You need to make a commitment. Geography, your town only for SEO. You can basically go anywhere with PPC. Procedures, if you tell me to make the website about veneers and then you tell me, no, you wanted to do denture stabilization instead, that's going to take some time to switch that, right? It's turning the Titanic with the SEO. PPC, you can tell me that one day, and the next day the denture stabilization ads are running and the veneers are gone. Return on investment, well, this one for sure gets return on investment, but it never gets to be as good as the return on investment of SEO. Plus, you own SEO, right? You own the site. If we stop doing SEO, the trickle effect carries on. The momentum of SEO carries on. If you stop doing pay-per-click, everything just disappears. So this is real investment stuff. This is buying your house. This is renting a condo, basically. And of course, PPC, just in terms of the order, if you have PPC in existence now, you have data that you need for effective SEO. It's going to give you the keywords that you need. And you should know that we don't have SEO clients who quit PPC. People think in their head, I'm going to start to get good at SEO, then I can jettison the PPC. I mean, maybe one day if the cost per click gets really high and it starts to not make sense financially, but right now I don't have a client that has said, oh, SEO is doing so well, I don't need PPC anymore. And so just to give you general priorities, this is what we discussed. Reviews, get volume of reviews in Google first, then move out to the platforms. Then you want to start really focusing on procedures. I mean, you can overlap these, of course, if you want. I'm just saying what the priority should probably be. Pay-per-click is probably the second thing that you want to look at. And it certainly influences SEO. If you want to talk about SEO, we're going to say, do you have pay-per-click information? It's fast. It tests your pipeline. That's really important. You see very quickly, you'll have, the first 30 days that we ever work with a client, they'll get a whole bunch of leads coming in and we'll see, are they able to answer the phone during the day? Sometimes they're not. Okay, well, let's fix that while we're on PPC and while we can halt it right in the middle of the campaign, come back in a week when everybody's been retrained, go again. You'll find all of your keywords in here, and you'll find return on investment by procedure, right? It's very important to calculate it by procedure. We have clients who've done implant, Invisalign, and veneer campaigns. Veneers is terrible, Invisalign's terrible, implants takes off like a shot. And other people, it'll flip around. It'll be veneers that takes off and everything else will not work. People can close different pieces of business, different procedures close better with some dentists. And then finally, SEO, you've got to look at the size of the opportunity, and you've got to be able to work with somebody who can say, yeah, this is not really an opportunity worth having. We think that we're people who look at things and tell you things honestly, because we have somewhere else to go. We have PPC that we can always fall back on. If the opportunity is tremendous for SEO, we're right behind you. We want to do it too. You have to be able to commit to a certain amount of time where you won't have results. And then, of course, nobody's going to guarantee the results at the end of the day anyway. It's SEO. You're paying for somebody to try very hard. But the competition, looking at the competition and where the competition are, they may be so far ahead of you that it's just not possible. So you need somebody who can assess that. And then finally, you've got to look at the ROI and compare it to the pay-per-click, just like I did before, and see that you should be at a point where your cost per lead is way below what you're doing on PPC. Those should be your priorities. Now, as we said before, we've got an offer. That is a direct line you can text me on. Don't call me on it because I'm on a webinar right now. So I wouldn't be able to answer, or it would be rude to everybody else. But text me, that's probably the best way. I mean, you can email me. I don't trust email. I trust text. The text will get through to me. And there's also that review template that was on slide 24. I'm sure you remember it. There it is. But that's basically it. So we're ready for questions if people have thrown questions in.
Yeah, David, first of all, that was fantastic. Thanks so much for all that great information.
You're welcome. I loved compiling it. I learn a lot just by going through it and putting everything into fairly terse language. So it was really helpful.
Well, you know, I was going to say, a lot of times at the end of a webinar like this, and it's not the end, because we've got some great questions, and I've got a few questions as well. I always say that was so much information, my head was spinning. But I'm not going to say that now. My head's not spinning because I think you presented it in a really easy to understand, easy to digest manner. And I love the comparisons. It was just fantastic. I learned a ton, and I know that just about everybody who started is still on with us. So you must have learned a ton as well. I want to ask a few questions too. We've got some great questions from our attendees, but don't forget to take David up on his offer. It's just an incredible opportunity. He is absolutely the best at what he does. You'd be nuts not to get the analysis from him. So text him, email him, whatever you want to do. And David, you know what's funny? I think at the beginning you mentioned your English accent, which obviously everybody picked up on quickly. But I don't think you mentioned that actually you do live in the US. You've been here for many, many years.
Yes.
You're not on that side of the pond.
I live in Miami, and I am actually a US citizen, so I'm allowed to work here and everything. It's wow. I just have this accent trailing around after me. Enough that people don't think I'm American, but also American enough that British people don't think I'm from there either.
Well, but everything sounds a little more intelligent with the British accent. So, you know, you could have been giving us an hours of crap and it would have sounded good with that accent. So we've got at least, and please ask some more questions. We've got two great ones. I have a question. Actually, I have a few, but I'll start with this one. And it kind of relates to a question that Stacy Pitts asked as well. You mentioned that if somebody's searching for example, dentist, Pittsburgh, veneers, and you've got a section on your website about veneers, that increases your chance of being found. But my question about that is, I see so many dental websites where they have sections on, you know, whitening, veneers, whatever, orthodontics, endodontics, whatever. But I can just tell it's generic BS that was written by somebody else, and there are probably 500 other websites across the country using that exact same content word for word. Can Google sniff that stuff out from a mile away?
I mean, listen, they can, but also if you have 20 dentists around you and 10 of them don't have websites and 10 of them have the same website as you, they're going to basically, they have to fill the page with something. They can't say nobody is up to our standard. So they'll go to the lowest level. What it means is if somebody came in with some actually nicely written new content, that would probably pop right to the top. So that's an opportunity right there. Wherever that is, there's an opportunity for somebody to just zip in above that person.
So it's better than nothing, but it's much better to have original content that nobody else has, it sounds like.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, original content is great. It's also not even it's not even that expensive. It's a reasonable investment, and it's also it has this. I talked about this idea a little bit. It's like, yes, it will get you into a position, but maybe write something that convinces somebody that you're the right person to go to. Like if you write something about root canals or implants that kind of touches people, they do respond to it. People do like to read things, and they like to be affected by what they read.
Totally agree. Okay, so that kind of segues into a question from Stacy Pitts. She said, we have a website that has not been updated in 5 years. I'm thinking that hurts us. What do you have to say about that? Their website, probably at the bottom, it says, copyright 1997 or something.
Right. Yeah, in 5 years, a lot has changed. And we've certainly been going through all of our websites and updating them, because you think it's all done and you think it's all over and you've done the best you can, but then just the goalposts move, right? And Google decides that, well, it doesn't like what it said it liked before, it likes something else now. There was a time when you used to have like a slightly different mobile website. You could have like a different website with slightly different content. Now it all has to be the same. It has to be mobile first,
Right.
which means whatever you see on mobile, it has to be exactly the same as your desktop. You can't just have a different version of the website. So a lot of places get caught out by that. So it still looks good on your mobile phone, but Google dings you because, it wants it to be one website for both.
Gotcha. So interesting question from Denise. You're talking about NAP, and if you were not taking a nap during that segment, you probably remember it stands for name, address, and phone. It sounds like they bought a practice from another dentist, but the NAP results are all for the previous dentist. Is there a way they can fix that mess?
Yes, totally. And they possibly would not have to engage us for an entire SEO project if they didn't want to. It's fairly easy to fix if you've dealt with Google My Business support before. So we'd be happy to help. And we'd probably just charge something for time. But it's pretty easy. It's a lot of time spent chatting with Google My Business. But as long as you know what you're saying to them and you know what the documents are that you need to send, there's a lot of going back and forth, but we could do that pretty easily.
Excellent. So it can be done, but you need a
Yeah,
professional, obviously. Okay.
I
Hey,
would
I've got a
suggest it.
question for you. Early on in the webinar, you talked about the 3-pack, which is when somebody Googles whatever, I'll say again, Dennis Veneers, Pittsburgh. There's kind of that little map, and then the 3 names under that. And it sounded like it was really, really essential to be in that 3-pack. It used to be everybody would make the promise that they never could fulfill and say, I'm going to get you on the first page of Google. Is the 3-pack the new standard for where you want to be?
Yeah, I think it really is. I think the visibility that they've created, the design of the 3-pack is really powerful. It's on top of the results for most of the really focused lower funnel search terms that you want to search on. So let's say what I mean by that is when somebody's searching for, implant dentist near me, so that they're looking for the actual dentist rather than to find out about implants. Those search blocks of the 3-pack is there every single time. Where it might not appear is with a search such as, what's a dental implant? You might get some dentist websites that explain what a dental implant is. So you're not getting the map listing there because they're not sure that you want a dentist yet. You just want to know what an implant is. So they'll give you something. Maybe somebody who's in first position will be there without the map pack. But that's a different quality of lead. Somebody who's investigating dental implants is not the same as somebody who's looking for an implant dentist. You've got one person who's just broad and doesn't really know what he wants yet. And you've got another person who's like, I'm making choices right now and I'm ready for the buy. So I think that's the difference. That's why it's so much more important to be in the 3-pack.
Got it. I've got a question for you about reviews. Before I ask you that question, and again, we can still take some more questions. And thanks everybody for hanging in there. Most people who started are still with us, which speaks a lot to the great information. But please take David Herman up on his offer. I said in the beginning, people that have been around our Matto Center webinars for a while know that when we have a guest that has such great information. Usually it's me speaking or Dave speaking, but when we have a guest, we bring them in for a reason, and he really is the best. So take him up on the no obligation analysis. You will absolutely be happy. He won't pressure you or anything like that. Just give you great information like he did tonight.
I'm not even the sales guy.
But he's
Right?
not.
I'm just the marketing guy. I'll market you to death a little bit. It's, you know,
Yeah,
a few
right.
emails from me. That'll be about it.
I see Dean Garcia just asked a great question about YouTube. So let's get to that in a second. But I've got a question too. You talked about reviews, and you said it's really important to mention the procedure in the review, not just say I came here and it was a great visit, but talk about how your whitening was so easy and you know, time efficient, and now you got a new job, blah, blah, blah. That's really cool stuff. When I talk about how to do reviews, when I'm teaching a practice how to do video reviews, I don't have SEO or pay-per-click in mind. I just am thinking about more the power of the review. And I always suggest, well, first of all, I always suggest that you hold your iPhone horizontally, not vertically. That's a pet peeve with me. But I always suggest that instead of just saying, I went to this office and it was great, to mention the doctor's name, to say, Dr. Garcia was so gentle. Besides making the review more powerful, does that affect anything that you're involved with? Does that make it better if you're doing a written review to actually mention the doctor's name or the name of the dental practice?
I don't think it does within Google reviews. I mean, you're generally inside of the doctor's page already when you're writing that review. But I think you're right about the video reviews. I mean, that is one of the sections on that PDF that I'm offering to people. One of the first parts is, it says, I'm leaving this for the following dental practice, right? They need to know what the name is, because people look around. I mean, when I've been doing video shoots myself, they'll say, I'm leaving this testimonial for, what's the name of the practice again? And it happens all the time. They just don't know what it is. They know, they know your name, Dr. Rich, right? Dr. Maddow, they'll know that. They don't know what the name of your practice is. So that happens often. So that is a really good tip. I also think getting them to emote, like if they can cry, it's the best, right? We try to play for that if we're doing videos.
Oh, funny. Always have somebody slicing onions when you're doing your video testimonials, right? So we had a kind of a double question from Dean Garcia and Chantel Long. They want to know about having a YouTube channel and having an Instagram presence. Does that help with your Google presence?
Well, it's not on the initial list of the work that we look to do for SEO. There is a separate value to it, I think, which is, I did that whole thing with, SEO is about position and then about presentation. I would argue that it's presentation where that's super valuable. If you're doing really good videos with really good content in there, explaining things to people in a visual and audio way, I think that on its own is the reason for doing it. I wouldn't do it specifically for the value it has for SEO, although it has some value. I'm just saying it's not in the top 50 things that we're looking to do, but it is super powerful for differentiating and for explaining things. And also for people seeing, here's the thing that I see that makes a difference, is when you explain something to somebody on a video and they like the way you explained it, they say to themselves, I want to go see that dentist because when I have something that he needs to do, he'll explain it just as clearly. So you sell yourself by speaking to camera. They're like, I like the way that guy sounds. I mean, they might just like your voice, might just like your face, but often it's the way you explain things that is really powerful.
Right, you have to sound really soothing, like a late night FM jazz DJ. Like when we do the endodontic procedure, right? The endodontic procedure is painless. It'll make you feel so much better. Well, hey, it is almost 9:30 here on the East Coast, and I just want to say, David, you've given great information. Again, I urge you to take him up on his offer. He's really sincere about doing this free, no obligation SEO analysis for you. And there's all the info. Text him, email him. It's up on your screen right now. And we'll send you a follow-up email with all the information as well. But jot it down right now so you don't forget, because I know a lot of people are going to be taking you up on that. David, thanks again. This was fantastic information. I didn't only stay awake the whole time, but I was intrigued the entire time by all the things that you said. I know that everybody out there in dental land, for us East Coasters, it's getting pretty late. For you out there in In the Pacific, it's just dinner time, and for everybody in between, I know that there are a million things you could have been doing on your Tuesday night, and I really appreciate that you chose to spend it with us. I hope we provided you with excellent value. If you want to make any comments for future topics, or just let me know how you enjoyed tonight's webinar, please send me an email. My personal email address is rich, R-I-C-H, @matto.com. David Herman, our web marketing expert from Miami. Any final comments or just goodbyes would be great.
No, I just thank you for the opportunity to talk about something that I'm just excited about. I hope you can tell that. I've got a lot of enthusiasm for it. And I by no means know all of the answers here. I have SEO people that do know all the answers, but we weren't all able to fit in this shot. So I decided it would be just me.
We can only get the main man.
Right.
Well, thanks again, everybody. Again, I'm Dr. Richard Matto. I'm co-founder of the Matto Center for Dental Practice Success. Our special guest tonight has been David Herman, founder of Web Marketing for Dentists. And thanks so much again, everybody, for choosing to spend your time with us. I hope we gave you some really great value and some good stuff to think about. We'll see you soon. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.